It's a brand new day here at Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us and starting your morning with us. We hope to continue some of the stories that have been in Nigeria's news space for the past 48 hours, as well as bring to your notice the fresh stories and latest developments. I am Olive Emodi, and you're welcome to the show.
And I'm Joe Hansen, welcoming you to Breakfast Central today on a Wednesday morning. Well, it feels really good, and I can say that we are ready and set. The question is, are you ready to ensure that you walk with us for the next 3 hours? Very interesting stories, especially from yesterday, where the Federal Capital Territory came to the limelight. You did have the FCT Minister commissioning. The commissioning started yesterday, and it came with a lot of celebrations. There were and are videos of the FCT Minister, you know, doing his usual fantastic dance. And then there are arguments upon arguments on why he should rename a very popular center after the president. But what you see on the screen there is another conversation that we're going to have today on Breakfast Central. The commissioning of the Lagos-Calabar road. You could call it a super highway or whichever way you want to call it. I'm just trying to borrow the words from Mr. President. There's a lot of controversy around that story. And I also have a testament, let me use that word, to follow up with those stories and this particular one that we're going to have here on Breakfast Central. But in the meantime, I want to say welcome and thank you so much for being here today. Don't forget to follow us on all socials. Don't forget to also drop a comment or two. And don't forget as well to retweet. And you also have a chance to be part of the show at exactly 9 a.m. where we'll open the phone lines for you to react to some of the very interesting stories on the front pages of the newspapers. Joe Hansen, yep, that's my name, and I'm saying welcome to Breakfast Central. Yep.
Okay, so much has happened.
A lot, a whole lot, a whole lot.
I don't even know where to start from, but maybe I'll let you begin off with the commissioning that has happened. We know that the Coastal Highway, the 30 kilometers of the Coastal Highway was commissioned. There was a young man who's a content creator that went to refute claims that it's up to 30 kilometers. But we have reports that some very trusted sources have confirmed this.
Well, it started off with the commissioning of the 30 kilometers out of what you expect to be even more than. And this commissioning did see, as you have on the screen there, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You also had ministers, you had governors, and the likes. The Deputy Governor was there, and so on and so forth, as well as the Lagos State Governor. But the question now is, was it really 30 kilometers?
Yes, from what they are saying.
So, this has led to arguments. And then I will put it straight that some of the persons, in quotes, that went there to check for themselves are not just citizens, but they're people who understand when it comes to building and construction. They really have a full understanding of it. So they decided to take a trip there, go there themselves, and try to, in quotes, fact check if it's really up to 30 kilometers. And the stories coming out from that is not looking very good. There's a fact that, or a claim rather, that it's not up to 30 kilometers. Secondly, the road is not even finished. Remember, during the commissioning, they said the first stage is finished, it's completed, 30 kilometers completed, meaning that commuters, drivers, people can start using that 30 kilometers prior to when they also continue to finish the next stage, the next phase. It's a phase by phase. That's what we also meant to understand. But the 30 kilometers road has brought about mixed reactions, different conversations. There are people who are for that it is actually exactly 30 kilometers, and then there are people who are against and say,
I was trying to confirm the name
not.
of the content creator that initially disproved the fact that it was 30 kilometers. So one of the people who went, they started this tour, and what this tour revealed was that it is 55 kilometers road actually, 30 kilometers being paved, and the remaining, 52 kilometers. 30 kilometers being paved and 22 unpaved, right? So there were journalists who joined the tour. It was a tour that, journalists and Reno Omokri, the former presidential spokesperson, was there. But I'm trying to get the name. I know that two content creators were there. Lang
There's been
Bolahon,
more.
Tayo
There's even been
Amele,
more.
who had done no, for their own particular tour.
Yeah.
And then there were journalists that went there as well. The tour began from the start of the Coastal Highway at Amadu Bello Way to the Lekki Free Trade Zone. And they said they measured a total of approximately, yes, I was right earlier, 55 kilometers. And that what they then saw was that 30 kilometers is fully paved, 22 kilometers is unpaved. And that's the first phase of the road that you're talking about. Reno Omokri, of course, was, he was there. They said he invited him to ensure the credibility and transparently verify.
Who invited him?
Well, he's the best-selling author and major advocate of the Made in Nigeria drive.
Mr. Reno Omokri.
He invited the media, apparently.
Yeah, he invited some media personalities or media. I don't know if they were journalists. Okay, journalists, yeah. Some journalists were there.
Yes, the initial content creator was Objective Media. He was one that claimed that work had stopped on the road and that President Tinubu only commissioned a section of the road not above 10 kilometers. That was the name I was looking for. But yes.
Is that true? Is it fact? But let's watch. Let's watch this video from Reno Omokri himself.
Correct. You ready? Yes. Okay, so we are at the beginning of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. This is the very start point, so you can actually turn around and then you see. So that's the very beginning there where the vehicles are. So you can see that the construction is still ongoing, but this is the beginning. And then we're going to go from here to kilometer 19.5. And then that's going to be the end because it's over 30 kilometers. But we're actually showing you 30 kilometers today, but it's not a continuous stretch of 30 kilometers. You have here approximately 20 kilometers, exactly 19.5 kilometers. And then between Eleko and Oku axis, there's going to be 17.4 kilometers of just gravel road that is being settled, is being stabilized. And then afterwards, from the Eleko end, walking back, there is at least 10.5 kilometers, possibly more, in fact, actually more. So, Bola, you want to say something?
Yes, at the Eleko end, we have it in two sections, the section 1 and section 2. For the section 1, we have roughly more than 5 kilometers. From section 2, we have above 5 kilometers. That's what we have at the Eleko end.
Okay, so when we get to the kilometer 19.5, Bolahon is actually going to go all the way to Eleko. So Eleko is close to the border of Ogun State, so it's going to take a while. Some of these journalists have volunteered to go with him. He's going to go with a drone. This drone, and you're going to see it, is going to be given to each and every member of the public here, as well as the journalists. We've got Arise TV here, we've got Vanguard, we've got Premium Times.
Apparently the drone shots that is showing the long stretch of the road to sort of give information to naysayers and critics. You can see that this is Reno Omokri's footage. You can see his watermark there, basically to let you know that this is an independent verification to let you know that the government is not lying. They're doing what they said, or they're showing that what they said they did is actually true.
So the argument is based on the fact that 30 kilometers, as mentioned by engineer Dave Umahi, is what Nigerians, or in quotes, few Nigerians are not in agreement with. They've gone there to look at it and they've said, if you are commissioning 30 kilometers, the 30 kilometers ought to have been finished and ready for usage. It should be ready for use. People can fly back and forth. Now, let me state here categorically that I followed the coastal road 2 Tuesdays ago. Last week Tuesday, I followed the coastal road, and when I followed the coastal road, it was fine. It was okay. It was fair. But I noticed that they weren't finished. There was still some work to be done. On Sunday, I decided to, my investigative spirit, moved me. I said, let me go back there and try and follow the coastal road again. And guess what?
What? Was it blocked?
Area boys were there. They blocked the road and they told me I had to pay before I passed a certain section. And I wound down and I told him, Kilewi, just to let them know, listen.
It's because you wore suits.
We've been full. No, I wasn't wearing suit. I was on a native. And I said, what are you saying? This is the road. We're here and we're fully. They said, the other one said, file, let him go. And I said, wow.
So
a road that has not even been, we've not. Anyway, I passed. Now this is where the challenge was. As soon as I went further down, I got to a certain place where there was a tractor, and they moved the tractor and blocked the road again.
So did you have to go back?
And someone else came from the tractor and said, oh, before I pass, I need to pay.
What?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You can quote me. You can quote me. You can quote me clearly that someone else told me clearly that before you pass this road, you have to pay. And I told him, a road that was just commissioned, a 30-kilometer that is open for usage, okay, I need to understand. And he said, no, you have to. I told him, sorry, I can't pay. Eventually, after back and forth, he allowed me pass. But I saw him, taking money from some other person.
And
and then he said clearly that we are the ones that walk here.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, I passed, and I stopped I was able to divert, especially at, is it New Road or something? Yes, that's where I came out from. Now, guess what? Yesterday, a cousin of mine, sent me a message. He was late, and he said, okay, let me follow the road. And he was told to go back. The road has been blocked as we speak. That there were soldiers everywhere. They said, no, go back. That the road is not opened to motorists. It's blocked. Nobody should use the road.
Well, my own is if it's not open, it's okay for it not to be open. But the fact that Agbarho will be on the road and start ensuring that they're collecting money from people. The major things that we complain about in other parts of Lagos, we don't want to see that here. These people are opportunists that will take every opportunity to extort Nigerians.
And the contractors,
So they're probably they're probably right about being part of the people that work on the road.
These area boys were not. It was just possibly clothes that they had picked up for themselves and put it on, and they were addressing. It was obvious, and they said this is what. But this is the point. The point really is this: if the road is not motorable, then why commission? Why commission?
Well, maybe the commissioning would be to let Nigerians know that they've done enough work, right? Because that was one of the most debatable projects of this administration. Seeing how a number of businesses had to sacrifice, the landmark business, for example. A number of businesses had to sacrifice their means of livelihood. A number of apartments had to sacrifice their residences because of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. So I think it was very imperative that they carried Nigerians, and they continue to carry Nigerians along to let them know that this wasn't just some loud noise we're trying to make, we're actually walking the talk, right? So I can understand the commissioning, even though a number of people will criticize what the commissioning is about. Anyway, let's move on to our next story in true fraudster fashion. And you might call us prophets, because I recall that Johansson prophesied on this show that another fraudulent scheme was going to emerge, and that even with the same CBEX having crashed, that if they had come back and asked people to pay, that people will show up and pay again. Guess what? News reaching us is that CBEX is back, and in another manner, defrauding people. Again, the crypto bridge exchange, popularly known as CBEX, weeks ago came to the spotlight because of the news of Nigerians having lost millions of naira to this Ponzi scheme. The EFCC got into the conversation, started making investigations and arrests as well. Now, as at yesterday, the reports we hear are that the users of CBEX platform can again see their initial investment balance. But those who have invested over $1,000 have been asked to pay $200 if they are to be able to withdraw their money. But those who have under $1,000 are asked to pay $100 to be able to withdraw their money. So basically, look, you can't touch. For you to see that the money is back, take a look at this. But if you want to be able to withdraw your money, then you have to pay some money. So they're asking for $200 for those who have over $1,000 and $100 for those who have invested below $1,000. One of the victims was talking to a news agency and saying that, it makes no sense for her to make a fresh deposit. And I hope that Nigerians are wise enough to see this for the scam that it is. I think this is also disrespectful to us as Nigerians, disrespectful to our law enforcement agency, that EFCC is investigating this, and they have the nerve to come back.
It's not.
It's such a slap on our faces as Nigerians. It's a slap, it's a disrespect to our intelligence, and a slap on the faces of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Because if EFCC has stepped into the matter, you have the nerve to be like, you know what, I'm coming back in full swing. Do your worst. That's the what they're telling the FCC. Do your worst.
They're really telling them. They're really pushing it. And sadly, it's not even the EFCC that I'm worried about. I'm worried for the Nigerians.
The naive.
Would I call them naive?
Some of them are naive because they don't know.
I would want to replace naive with the greedy Nigerians who have heard, they've seen, but they will still carry their two legs, their head, and go back there. So, by the way, the total money that was lost, 1.2 trillion naira.
My goodness.
Trillion. You know,
and they're about to cash out
millions,
some more billions because I can bet you that some people have already said paying this $100 and $200. And the thing with scam is fraud, right? And it's the same way with terrible investment. Sometimes you just think, I've already gone too far. A little more, maybe this little more will help me gain something. Let me push a little more. They're playing on your intelligence. We are appealing to Nigerians, everyone watching this. If you invested in the CBEX platform before now, and they're asking you to pay $200, $100, anything, do not pay. No investment platform will ask you to pay money to withdraw your money. If today I go into an investment that I have and say I do not want to make an investment again, they're not going to ask me to pay more money to collect the money that I've already invested. So you see what I'm trying to tell you? It is fraudulent. Please, wake up. Wake up and don't allow them to take advantage of you. Do not allow them to use your money to go and flex, because that's what this is. They're just taking advantage of Nigerians.
The worry for me is the fact that the EFCC is actually still looking for a foreigner known as Eli Bektar. He's said to be the major player in this scam for CBEX. While the EFCC is busy looking for him, the Security Exchange Commission has come out to say that CBEX is unregistered. And mostly, they said they're not certain of their 100% return on investment, of course, which is ROI. Aside that, I had mentioned here on the show that I do have very close ties with some persons who had invested as well in this CBEX scam. And they lost a whole lot of money. But they're coming out to say immediately this story broke and it was news everywhere. And then the Security Exchange Commission came out to say that they're unregistered. Videos equally showed their purported new office that they were supposed to have launched in Abuja with a clear registered certificate right there on the screen showing that they have been, certified by the Security Exchange Commission.
Even though SEC came out to say that they were not, registered.
Now, aside that, the people that I know that have gone through this challenge, some of them have even come out to say that CBEX would have would hold some conferences where they would speak with interested persons and those who have already joined them. In these mini conferences, you would find that they have a representative from SEC who is also going to speak. And if this has gone on for so long, I also feel that the Security Exchange Commission should also join hands closely to ensure that they do not come back. Because if they are back, and it's much more like it's business as usual, are we that permissive?
My own is, how is that platform still active?
Thank you.
How do they still have access to the platform? Do we not have some sort of tech that can ensure that they disconnect their access from the back end? Isn't there a way to go around it? Because again, they are manipulating the vulnerability of Nigerians, because the people who have invested are in a very vulnerable place. I know somebody who, there was a tech fraudulent lady, I've forgotten her name now, who he lost a lot of money. He lost a lot of money. He lost millions of money. So when you hear things like that, you're in a vulnerable place. Some people have lost their life savings. And when you tell them, just a little $100 extra, a little $200 extra, it looks like, okay, this is just a sacrifice I'll make for a bigger picture, right? So, first of all, the platform should have been shut down. While they're doing the investigation, the platform should have been shut down. I don't know why the platform is still running, why they still have access to the platform to view their balance. EFCC initially did promise people that they were going to help them get back their money, but now they've come out to say the truth, that they won't be able to help everybody get back their money, which is a more a more honest thing to say.
That's what we call in Nigerian parlance OT law.
OT law. It's a very
law.
honest thing. In situations like this, it's important not to give people false hope. Because from the jump, we knew there was no way they were going to be able to recover everybody's money. And even if they recover money, how many people would they pay? How many people would they not pay? How do they have a document, a record of everybody whose money
Thank you. That's
was invested?
Do you have the database? Do you have the back end? Do you have access to this application? Or better still, do you have access to the back end? Now, don't forget that they also arrested almost, I think, about 6 persons. And they had mentioned that the arrest would actually promote over about 100, was it 1 billion naira or something, to see how they can get that from them. These persons you've arrested, whether you like it or not, this scam, like we mentioned, is not the first that is happening here in Nigeria. Aside from MMM, there are reports that there are still over more than 40 of a similar, quote, CBEX scam that is ongoing now as we speak.
My goodness.
The question is, what is the Security Exchange Commission doing? What is the EFCC doing? Or is the EFCC too busy maybe chasing Yahoo boys and not focusing on what they ought to do, which happens to be like their priority? Because your priority simply is, this is one of your priorities, your key priorities, which is if you have scammers hiding under the guise of, oh, we're going to give Nigerians hope, we're going to ensure that Nigerians would live a better life. All they need to do is put 100 naira and expect to get like 5 million naira. Many have even called on the betting companies and said, while some of them are very, very genuine, others are starting to look like a scam as well. And they've told the Security Exchange Commission, well, not really them, but this time they told EFCC, please, you need to pay attention. But everything seems to be on a hush-hush. Maybe the EFCC needs to review and take a look at their strategies.
Yes, is looking for people that spray money in party. This girl just turned 30 yesterday, so they'll probably go and check if she sprayed money in her party.
Whereas this is an indictment, by the way, on the EFCC. We usually have the spokesperson who joins us here on Breakfast Central. And we're also using the opportunity to see, maybe we'd have an invitation once again sent to him. Let him come. And let's talk about.
I beg you. When you said we have an invitation feels like they're inviting us.
Because CBEX, guess what? It is, for me, as far as I'm concerned, this is a slap on the face that CBEX is back and still operating. Now, let me use the word. It is in operation by telling former members or members that, oh, we are back and you need to pay this to get this. And let me warn those who are on this CBEX platform. If you are deceived and they're telling you pay this, what they're trying to do is to do a final cleanup. Your money will be gone. You will not get it.
Oh, yes,
the same day they reported CBEX, I said here on this breakfast show that someone I knew who also lost money told me that the moment they had issues, they quickly opened a new WhatsApp account and called that one premium and told people that this one you'll be earning in dollars. And people she said she just went in there to see for herself, and she said she was shocked. People were moving in and saying, okay, we're ready, let's go, don't worry. Well, I know you guys will sort that one out, but let's start this new one, we're ready. Can you imagine? Imagine.
Okay, let's move on from CBEX and hope that people will not fall again. Just to wrap up this CBEX conversation, to say that if you invested in CBEX and you lost some money, our heart goes out to you. But to ensure that you do not fall prey again, please do not further invest in CBEX until in fact, don't even invest at all. Also, I think it's important, if you need to make investments, you speak to investment experts. Your bank has them. They have mutual funds, and there are different investments you can, put your money in. If it's too good to be true, I promise you it most certainly is too good to be true. There's a percentage. By the time they're offering you 50% interest, 100%. It's okay, 50%. Some people, depending on how, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. However, if someone is promising you 100%, it's not Baba Ijebu. If they are promising you 100% investment, it's a risk and it's most likely scam. So just go for safer investments. A number of them, those that give you 18% with returns, 20, 22, 25.
10.
No, 7.5 is even still low. With mutual funds, they can get more. With the mutual funds, they should be able to get in the 20s, right? So if you're unaware where to start from, speak with your bank. If you invest 300,000, you can get interest of more than 30,000. There's a way they go about it, right? Speak with your bank. Go through legal means. Just stay away from anyone that looks too good to be true. Let's now go to a third story. This is something that we talked about yesterday, quite an interesting one, and I'm going to ask you, if one university in Cotonou gives you an honorary doctorate degree, do you think that it is morally, ethically, and maybe legally correct for you to introduce yourself as doctor?
Olive, be careful. You are talking to Dr. Johansson here.
I'm sorry,
as
doctor.
a doctor. And by the way, let me warn my directors and producers.
They not put doctor on your name.
Going forward, maybe you should address, you put doctor at the start of my name.
What kind of doctor are you? Native doctor? You know, there are different types. You can explain.
Well,
well, the news reaching us is that it's been made illegal in Ghana. In Nigeria, however, there seems to be a pandemic of doctorate degrees. Everybody and their mommy and daddy have become honorary, they've become doctors, right? And there's been I actually should have gotten a list of Nigerian celebrities who have gotten their doctorate degrees and maybe publicly refer to themselves as doctors. But first of all, going back to Ghana, why did Ghana do this? First, to prevent deception and to protect the integrity of academic qualifications. If somebody has gone to get a doctorate degree, studied for years, their PhD, their thesis, their project defense, it's to ensure that you give the honor where the honor is due, and also to prevent proliferation of fraudulent academic institutions. Because if you listen to a number of the people who have gotten honorary doctorate degrees, some of them from sham universities that you've never even heard of, and you're wondering, is this even an accredited university in the grand sense of things? Now, I'm going to give an example, the same one that I gave yesterday. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has several honorary degrees. You will never hear her introduce herself as Dr. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Never, because she recognizes that these are honorary doctorate degrees. However, if you need to mention, which I think it's important, and it's a thing of, it's a thing to be applauded, that your university or your alma mater or some university, accredited university, decided to honor you for your contribution in your field. You can mention Olive Emodi, an honorary doctorate degree recipient of so and so. You can mention it in your profile, but referring to yourself as Dr. Lagbaja because one and this particular school keeps coming to my head, this particular institution keeps coming to my head. But if I let me not call them, because they've given everybody, they've given everybody in Lagos a doctorate degree.
Do you know who I am? I think this is where the genesis of the problem is for Africans.
There was a time this thing became a problem on X, where people were now giving themselves doctor of social media, doctor of this one, doctor of all sorts of things. It was such an interesting time. But that's not to downplay the importance of honorary doctorate degrees.
Exactly.
If you've contributed to an institution, for example, having done my part in media, showing up every day over the course of how many years, if my university says, you've made us really proud. So we want to give you an honorary doctorate in media, right? And they decide to confer that or give me that honorary award. I will accept it. However, what will be fraudulent is parading myself as a doctor. A doctor, there are two types of doctor. A medical doctor or a PhD doctor. So you're either an academic doctor or you're a medical doctor. If you are not either of the two, an honorary doctor. Stop calling yourself
I think
doctor.
we need to also mention that there's a difference between a doctor of philosophy, which takes a lot of time, effort, and
that's the academic one.
Read, it's research-based, you take your time, you spend hours, countless hours, some take as
a PhD doctor. So you're either an academic doctor or you're a medical doctor. If you are not either of the two, an honorary doctor. Stop calling yourself
I think
doctor.
we need to also mention that there's a difference between a doctor of philosophy, which takes a lot of time, effort, and
that's the academic one.
Read, it's research-based, you take your time, you spend hours, countless hours, some take as long as a year, maybe 2 years, and still counting. Some, when they finish, they're like, woo, I finally did this. And I have friends who tell me, oh, I'm done. I have a friend, I hope to invite him on the show. He's very, very, very sound, very sound, very, very sound. He's had about, I think it's still counting. It's still counting. But then again, what we're trying to say is people who have gone through the process, yes, when they have that doctor, added to their name, they've earned it. They've worked hard for it. And then they also have in brackets, they mention what and what and what, they did in what research and so on and so forth. Wow, they got beautiful. And I noticed something too sometimes. I have a friend who has about 3, but I never knew until he joined a Zoom meeting where everybody was just talking. And I saw Dr. Susan. I'm like, oh, okay. And
he has 3 honorary doctorate degrees.
He forgot to remove it. And then when I asked him, he said, oh my goodness, that he doesn't use his Zoom account. He's sorry. I said, oh, okay, that's nice.
But is he an honorary doctorate degree or an academic doctorate degree?
Academic doctorate degree.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. And he said, no, that he doesn't like putting it out there. And I'm like, you are different. But I like what Ghana is doing. I'm hoping the Minister of Education in Nigeria can borrow a leaf. Let's separate what it is and what it's not. Because everybody walking down the street tells you,
Doctor, this one.
Doctor,
Doctor, that one.
I'm like, since when?
I know too many people on this table.
Olive, I know too. But let's just leave it where it is.
So if I'm just saying, for example, just to even, I try to phrase myself, imagining that I received an honorary doctorate degree. So I would say, Olive Emodi, recipient of an honorary doctorate in media and communication from Harvard University, for example, right? Or if I must absolutely put that doctor in bracket on Honorable Olive Emodi to let them know that it's an honorary doctorate hyphen my university. But a safer bet would be if you're not a medical doctor, if you're not a PhD holder, qualified doctor, and you're an honorary doctor, kindly let go of the doctor. Mention it to your profile, but you are not a doctor. Perhaps you are a native doctor.
So what we're trying to say is, Nigerians, let's
But why do you think we do that again?
I've said it before. It's
why?
Based on, do you know who I am? It gives this form of pride, this form of, when I step into the place, there's this heightened respect that comes with it.
Because it's also not a lie in a way, because we are also a people that judge people based on academic qualifications. We put so much importance on certain courses, like, if you studied medicine, or you studied law, you studied engineering or accountancy. Accountancy, that's correct.
Yeah.
Any of these 4, then you are a professional. The rest.
You're
not a professional. Even we jokingly say it, lawyers are laymen, right? So there's a certain perception or respect
that
we give to certain career choices or career paths. And even, I don't know if I share this one on air, but even in the way that people speak, do you know that there are companies that only like to employ people that have a foreign accent? You have a Nigerian accent, you don't think that you're bougie enough for them. One day, we're going to actually get into that conversation about companies and individuals that prioritize foreign accents over Nigerian accent.
We did that. I did that with Mazino while we were on radio some years ago, and we did a list that went viral, and it caused a lot of, stir within our colleagues in the industry, and people were angry and mad at us. Good enough, there was no Insta blog, a few social. They would have taken it up and it would have led to a conversation.
No, but it's a conversation we need to have.
You're right.
The Nigerian accent is a beautiful accent, and we need to be comfortable and proud of our Nigerian accent and not continue to further stereotypes that unless you sound British or American, you don't sound good enough. There's a way the Kenyans sound. They're very proud of how they sound.
I am very happy.
Do you understand?
I'm very happy.
You go to Uganda, you hear someone from Uganda, you automatically know this person is from Uganda. In the same way, when you hear a Nigerian speak, you should be able to say, this person is Nigerian.
Well, it's all right, Mike. Olive, I'm very sure that the government officials watching now are saying, thank God they are not taking on us this morning. They are taking on issues. Let's
tackle each other. Let's tackle
issues
ourselves.
Affecting
the
situation of things in the country. But that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations this morning. We've taken a look at the Lagos-Calabar, the expressway. And we hope that a lot would be done to possibly sensitize the people. I think this is where Engineer Minister David Umahi would come forth. And
to let him know that Agbarho are hijacking his road. All the Agbarhos are starting to hijack the road.
I'm happy, although I'm not too happy, but I heard the army officials were there yesterday. They turned people back, told them it's not motorable. But I experienced it. The Agbarhos are starting to be on that road. They're getting on the roads. They're putting blockades and telling you, Owoda, before you pass. I'm wondering, is this what That's a smart city. In short, let's leave all the conversation. Let's bring to you what our top stories look like today on Breakfast Central, and then we go straight in. This morning on Breakfast Central, we'll look at Lagos PDP as they react to defection statements, especially the ones made by Jandor, and not forgetting to the conditions given by the FCT minister. Search intensifies for the 7 children missing in Agbarho. I hope I got that pronunciation right? Anyway, Peter Obi declares worsening security hardship, and there's also a fight back from the federal government. Group demands reinstatement of Governor Siminalayi Fubara as we count down to June 12, which is just tomorrow. And then we have the front pages of the papers. Make sure you tune in, and you can call in as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Let's go to Delta State now, where Jaro Egbo, chairman of Wili North local government area, has confirmed that 7 children are missing in Agbarho as opposed to the 26 children announced by the community women. Egbo made this statement shortly after the Security Council meeting held at the local government secretariat in Wili. Well, News Central correspondent Austin Azu has more details in this report.
Agbarho women have recently held a peaceful protest to draw attention to the alleged disappearance of 26 children from their community over the past few months.
What I want government to do for me, I want it make they try possible best. Make they video the community. Anywhere where they had my lucky Eriga, make they search out.
The council chairman, Jaro Egbo, visited the community where he met with the victims' parents, traditional ruler, DPO, and scheduled a Security Council meeting for Tuesday at the Council Secretariat in Ughelli. The Security Council meeting consists of all the DPOs in Ughelli Command, other security agencies, victims' parents, chiefs from Agbarho Kingdom, among others.
This is called as a further deliberation on our missing children, stealing of our children in Agbarho.
The chairman addresses the press on the outcome of the meeting.
But let us correct this impression. 26 children aren't missing. For now, we've been able to establish that 7 are missing. It is very painful that 7 children will be missing. The police, all the security agencies were not put on alert. I don't want to indict the police, but they all said they went to the police, and in the process, they were not fairly treated. Let's say that they did not get good response from the police. That is what they said, they alleged. And so, because we are not satisfied with what the police were doing, we have now referred the matter back to area commander to do proper investigation to unearth those 7 children that are missing. We have taken their photographs. We have taken the names of the mother of the victims. We've also set up a 5-man committee headed by Shifokoro to liaise between the victims and the police. And also, if they need them, they can bring them here. If they want lawyer, we'll provide lawyer for them. If they want any assistance, we'll do that for them.
The council chairman also revealed efforts to forestall any further actions capable of truncating the peace in the community.
These scavengers, the Ayo Condemned people, their activities are suspended for now in Agbarho, because the immigration people told us that most of them are not properly profiled. So because they're not profiled, we don't know who is doing this. So for now, we have resolved that scavenging, which is Iron Condemn, is for now suspended in Agbarho Kingdom, the whole of their communities. 2, that they should be very vigilant to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself. And also to educate their children, because the rumor we hear is that most of this is linked to Yahoo business, ritual killing. So as a government, we want to follow up this case to the letter, to everything, to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself. And that if anybody is involved, we'll bring them to book.
The panel is expected to submit its reports within 2 weeks. In Ughelli for News Central, Austin Azu.
Very interesting reports there. That's an update. If you recall, we have been following this story close and very closely, especially with the fact that Our reporter in Delta State, Austin Azu, did join us, especially with the parents of one of the missing children. He spoke to them and they also shared how they felt, their thoughts, what happened, why is it that they can no longer find their child. But there were rumors that the children who, in quotes, are missing, numbers up to 26.
The parents said they are 26 children.
Yeah.
They've gone on a protest, on a march with placards saying stop stealing our children.
Yeah.
And now he's telling us that it's not 26,
yes,
it's 7.
So there's clarity.
I have a problem with that speech I just
7.
listened to. I think I have a challenge, a bit of a challenge with that speech, and I'm hoping that I will speak to him. We can speak to him much later to clarify. When you say that the stories you are hearing is that parents should, first of all, that parents should talk to their children, that the stories you are hearing is that it's as a result of yahoo and what's the other thing, rituals. I don't understand. As in, is he saying that the children are involved in internet fraud? Is he saying that they're involved in ritual killings? And I don't know if that's an explanation for 7 children disappearing. Or in this case, the women saying that they're 21 children. I want to hear from the parents. I want to hear if the parents say that they're 26 children. I want to hear from the parents who are directly affected by this. And I don't know that in the period when parents are grieving because they don't know what has happened to their children and they're hoping their children are still alive, talking about shifting the blame to the parents is in a way, like I don't know if saying that is emotionally sensitive. I think that's the word. I don't think it's emotionally sensitive to say, oh, parents also need to advise their children because of yahoo and the FCC, yahoo and the ritual, because that's what we're hearing. Because it's not like you've done adequate investigation to give you enough information. It's not like anybody has been arrested in terms of the kidnappers, or if any of the children have been rescued, for them to say, oh, it was because we are doing yahoo. So on what basis is the premise for that assertion that parents should do that? In this case, so far, the fact that we're looking for children is a situation of insecurity. Every government owes its citizens security. You owe citizens protecting their lives and the properties of the citizens. And if you can't guarantee that, you have failed them as a government. So the blame here, if we're looking for, this is not supposed to be a blame game, but if we're looking for who to throw the blame at, the government has a lot of work to do to account for where those children are, the security agencies, where are the children of the Agbarho parents? I don't quite agree with saying that it's a function of EFCC or ritual killings.
All right. I mean, you've made fair enough. That's a very strong point, and that's a good point, saying that talking to the parents. One thing that stands out in this is I like the fact that there's action now, action in terms of they've decided to get on with it to ensure they trace and find a permanent solution to the missing children, which is often seen as normal, because if you have one child missing, a mother shouts in the community, everybody keeps quiet, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, it's now starting to look like it's normal. But I think it's not just enough after this. We should be able to get a feedback and find out what the report says after the DPOs who sat in that meeting with the commissioner, better the chairman, beg your pardon, council chairman. Hopefully they will be able to come up with a report that says, okay, in our research, in our investigation, we've come to find that this is what may or have happened. And then we can put a closure to this story, because the parents you see there, they would forever remain sleepless.
Let's not even say forever, because I'm hoping that the children come back soon.
They can't sleep.
When we say, oh, it's not 26, it is 7, it sounds like we are trying to, well, I mean, it's important to clarify if there's a disparity in the numbers, but 7 is a whole lot. Even one child getting missing is a whole lot.
We've talked about the value of the Nigerian life here. We talked about that yesterday as well, how we should place value on every single life. And because you've also mentioned desensitization, we've heard so much stories of killing, so you feel, oh, is it today? Therefore, let's just move on. So it's very key. But I want to say thank you, Austin. Sadly, Austin Azu was supposed to join us as well this morning to give us more updates, but we hear it's raining cats and dog in Delta State as we speak this morning. So Austin had to find shelter and run away from the rain, so he would not be able to join us. Hopefully, when the rain, decides to take a break, then Austin will join us to give us updates on what went down with the council chairman. and the parents as well. But it's a very interesting development for us here at News Central. It shows that when we beam the touchlight on stories like this, it means that we are indeed representing the community and feeling the pulse of the people. Hence, why we're happy when we see the government officials as well jumping into it. Well, talking about jumping into it, Olive, from one sad story, we have to go to another one. And this time, let's inform you that we do have a News Central special. If you're watching Breakfast Central this morning, you might want to take a pen and a paper and write it down so you do not miss this expose. Well, let's inform you of something special on News Central, and it's going to take place later. Now, you can watch a special investigation series. We're going to bring you a story of a lady called Victory Tisa. Now, Victory Tisa is a young girl who is seeking justice against a defiler and also judicial actors that will rather choose to pervert the will of justice in favor of a sex abuser. And not just that, they went as far as incarcerating her family for a crime they didn't commit. Her brother, her mother, and her uncle were incarcerated. Well, Justice for Victory is another piece by News Central special correspondent on investigative journalism, the one known as Marshal Anthony Onoye, and he would beam the searchlight on this. But we have the teaser for you, so take a look and make sure you set your timers so you do not miss it for anything.
Justice. All I wanted is justice. I was one that was wronged. I was raped twice. I could not speak out, and the time I spoke out, no one gave me the justice I deserved. They didn't give my mother the justice she deserved. Instead, they locked up for trying to get justice for her family.
DPO say, he go show me, he go show my daughter. Immediately, the woman set eyes on us. He said they should take us to Kirikiri. That day, they took us to Kirikiri. We spent another 6 days in Kirikiri with hell, with beating, with torture.
And that's the story of perverted justice, a story that we'll be highlighting here on News Central Television. We will be discussing this as well this week on Breakfast Central. But just to look at that clip, from the clip you can see there, a young woman talking about having been raped twice. Her mother talking about how they were threatened by the police and how they were thrown into Kirikiri. We'll get a full picture of this, but just to let you know that this is not a case in isolation. There have been many cases of women who have reported being sexually abused, not being listened to. Survivors haven't been listened to. And this particular instance is one that we hope to highlight and open the can of worms. It's such a sad, thing to talk about.
It's a sad story. And just to mention to all our viewers that this would be premiering. It will show on June 12th, which is tomorrow at exactly 8:30 p.m. So set your timers. Mark your calendars tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. It's entitled Justice for Victory. It's another very insightful, special News Central series by investigative journalists. When I sat down, Marshall would likely join us as well here on Breakfast Central. And the family should also be here with us to speak on this. It's a pathetic story. The video you see here, when you take time to watch it, I must also warn that you need to hold yourself, because you start to wonder why. I mean, we know that everywhere around the world, justice at times is not upheld, it's perverted. But then again, when it's done in so much glare and so much in disdain, you do not care about the people. The story you see here, just only to give you a glimpse, they eventually left the rape case and now focused on two fighting. And that led to the arrest of the mother of the victim, her uncle, and her brother, who were incarcerated for over 6 days. Now, there was also a scenario in this entire story while I was speaking with Marshall. He said there was a time where when they arrested the brother to the accused, they took him, of course, to court, and the judge there said, no, I'm not going to attend to this case. It's a case of two fighting because her brother decided to go look for the accuser and there was a little scuffle. And the judge said, no, go and sort it out. I'm not interested. And the judge left. It was alleged in court that the police came back again to the judge and said, no, you must attend to this case. We want to lock up the brother of the accused because he was fighting. And the judge said no. But guess what? They said as soon as the judge left, the police went back and there was a new judge again. And the judge said, bring the case, and then told them, you guys must go to Kirikiri.
You know what? I actually look forward to us having the full picture tomorrow. Yeah. A really, really pathetic story. And just to applaud Victory, her mother, and everyone who spoke. A big applause to women who have been abused and intimidated, but yet refuse to close their mouth. That will keep speaking up, for justice, because it's easy to cower when you've been bullied in such a way. We'll get the full picture tomorrow, so please tune into Breakfast Central. Let's now move on to politics. The 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has raised alarm over the worsening insecurity and economic situation in Nigeria at the launch of a new book titled Obi, the Political Change Agent in Abuja. The former Anambra State governor expressed deep concern over the condition of citizens, describing the country as a crime scene that needs urgent intervention. He emphasized that while the country is not officially at war, many citizens live like refugees both at home and abroad. Obi also criticized what he described as the government's skewed priorities, highlighting how public funds are being spent on renovating buildings and throwing parties while mothers die during childbirth and over 20 million children remain out of school. Let's take a look.
Hey, all of us know that we must work hard to dismantle this crime scene called the country now. Because there's no way we will be able to survive with this. Today in Nigeria, we're not at war. Nigerians are in refugee camp in their own country. Nigerians are refugees in Chad. Nigerians are refugees in Cameroon. And we are not at war. The only reason is that we don't have a government who cares for the people. People are being killed daily. Nobody goes to say to them, we're sorry. Nobody visits them. Nobody cares. All you get in Nigeria is that some people are rich so they can afford to celebrate. We're not going to where we're going to do celebration, close street, do this and everything. People are being killed every day. Nigerians are dying every day. What we are doing is to use the resources. I visited so many primary health care where there's no toilet, where there's no nothing. All we are doing is to use resources to build, renovate house, renovate the building, build the mansion, do this and everything. That's all we are doing. They make you local government chairman. They make you governor. They make you president. Vice, all you want to do is to renovate a house that doesn't.
He emphasized that while the country is not officially at war, many citizens live like refugees both at home and abroad. Obi also criticized what he described as the government's skewed priorities, highlighting how public funds are being spent on renovating buildings and throwing parties while mothers die during childbirth and over 20 million children remain out of school. Let's take a look.
Hey, all of us know that we must work hard to dismantle this crime scene called the country now. Because there's no way we will be able to survive with this. Today in Nigeria, we're not at war. Nigerians are in refugee camp in their own country. Nigerians are refugees in Chad. Nigerians are refugees in Cameroon. And we are not at war. The only reason is that we don't have a government who cares for the people. People are being killed daily. Nobody goes to say to them, we're sorry. Nobody visits them. Nobody cares. All you get in Nigeria is that some people are rich, so they can afford to celebrate. We're not going to where we're going to do celebration, close street, do this and everything. People are being killed every day. Nigerians are dying every day. What we are doing is to use the resources. I visited so many primary health care where there's no toilet, where there's no nothing. All we are doing is to use resources to build, renovate house, renovate the building, build the mansion, do this and everything. That's all we are doing. They make you local government chairman. They make you governor. They make you president. Vice, all you want to do is to renovate a house that doesn't need renovation. So you'll be more comfortable at the expense of other people. It's to go and build conference center in a place where women are dying. And so you saw the reports by the latest report that the worst place to give birth is in Nigeria. People are dying every 7 minutes. Yet, we have all sophisticated buildings, all mansions. And that is what we want to dismantle, so that it will be good for everybody.
Well, you may not like the man, but you can't discount the fact that the message, some of the things that he said there that a number of people can relate to in Nigeria. And we certainly need to hold our leaders to better account in terms of ensuring that they prioritize the welfare of Nigerians, safety, security, health. Maternal mortality should not be a conversation we're having in 2025, because women go into the labor room and they are praying and praying and praying that the women survive, whereas in modern climes, you would hardly see situations. Yes, women still die in childbirth, but not with the kind of slight complications that we experience here in Nigeria. People have to, it's almost like you are doing fasting and prayer. While you're praying for the doctor that will attend to your wife or to your sister that is in labor room, you're praying for the nurse that will be in charge, that they are in a good mood. Look at what we played yesterday. People saw somebody at the verge of death, and they say, no hand glove, bring him out of the car.
And then, by the way, there's an update on that story as
What's
well.
The update,
investigation
please?
Has started. And
yes.
They denied that. They denied it flagrantly that they did not agree. They did not say they would not.
But we saw video now.
Yeah, so they've denied. Anyway,
so that video is AI.
The FCT is interested in the story, so they've taken it up. They said everyone should just wait till investigations. But we've seen what Mr. Peter Obi has said. If you have any thoughts as regards what he said and you think you have one or two reasons to say, no, it's not true, feel free to go on our social media pages and drop your comments, and we'd like to hear from you. But let's bring to you what's coming up next in the second hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. A group of prominent Lagos PDP leaders, including former candidates and executives, have officially defected to APC. Led by Akeem Amode, the Lagos PDP Publicity Secretary, the defectors cite internal crisis, poor leadership, and lack of cohesion as reasons for abandoning the party. They argue that PDP has lost its way, with some members even sabotaging their own candidates during elections.
Now, this comes in as Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike also recently laid out strict conditions for supporting PDP's presidential candidate. The Minister of the FCT said the People's Democratic Party should zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the southern part of Nigeria if the party will get his support. He made this statement known while reading the communique of a PDP stakeholders meeting under the aegis of the concerned stakeholders of the PDP in Abuja on Monday. Joining us this morning to discuss this development is a PDP chieftain, Adetokunbo Pierce. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Do you think that the Minister of the FCT has a valid stance before he can throw his support behind the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate? He's asked that it be zoned to a southern representative. Do you think that he's well within his rights to do that? And do you agree with that decision?
The Minister of the FCT is just being mischievous because he has already said that he's going to work for Tinubu in the next election, and that everything he's done in the past few months has been to derail the PDP. We wanted to have our NEC meeting, National Executive Committee meeting. He locked us out of our building. So what is his interest in PDP? Except anything he says should be discredited because it is not in our interest, it is not his responsibility, he has nothing to do with PDP. So he forms a committee of people and he calls them PDP, and he's leading the committee, and he himself has said he's not working with PDP. So it makes no sense. It makes no sense. The idea that the presidency should be zoned to the south is not an issue for him or anybody. When we have our national convention in August, we are going to elect a substantive national chairman. It is on the basis, this is the way the constitution of the party works, it is on the basis of that election that the zoning of the presidency will be determined. So, if, for instance, as we expect, the chairman, national chairman is zoned to the north to complete Ayu's term, then we know. So we don't need Wike to tell us to zone it to here, zone it to there. The constitution will do what it needs to do. Once the national chairman has been zoned to the north, as we expect it to be, it is obvious that the chair of the presidency will come from the south. So it's just, Wike is just being mischievous, so you say, yes, I told them to zone it to the south, and they zone it to the south. It has nothing to do with him.
So that means if you are certain that the national chairmanship was zoned to the north, and then
if the national chairman is elected, it's an elected position.
But are you certain that it must be someone from the north?
No. I'm not certain.
Okay.
I'm saying that constitutionally, when we have our convention in August of this year, just a couple of months, and we have our election for the substantive national chairman to replace the acting national chairman, Damagun now, if that chairmanship is zoned to the north, then it is obvious. We all expect that it will be zoned to the national chairman will be zoned to the north because Ayu's term has not been completed, and that is from the north. That's where we stand. So
that means the presidential ticket will now be zoned to the south.
Well, you see, this is the problem with the way this thing works in PDP. I personally have always said that in reality, we don't zone the presidency. Everything depends on where the national chairman comes from. The national chairmanship election will be done before the presidential. So this August now, once we have the national chairmanship election, and it is zoned to the north, if that is the case, as we expect it to be, then we know that according to the Constitution, the national, when we have the presidential convention and a candidate emerges from the north, let us say, because this is where I say we really don't zone. If you zone, you should say this election is only for southern candidates, nobody else. should contest. But we never do that in PDP. So we base the decision of where the presidential is going to come from based on the constitutional role of the national chairman.
All right, you were going to say something on if the presidential candidate comes from the north, and I'll have you clarify that, but we have to go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll take the rest of that explanation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still discussing latest happenings with regards to defections in the PDP. And we're joined by PDP chieftain Adetokunbo Pierce. Thank you very much for staying with us, sir. Before we went on the break, we're talking about the national chairmanship elections coming and the presidential elections or presidential ticket elections. And you said you were about to talk about what will happen if the presidential candidate came from the north.
This is exactly what happened in 2023. We had the National Convention to elect a national chairman before the presidential. And Dr. Ayu emerged as the national chairman from North Central. According to the Constitution, when we now had the presidential, and the presidential candidate came from the north, Atiku Abubakar, Ayu was supposed to resign. That is what the Constitution says. We cannot have a northerner as national chairman, that's the head of the party, and a northerner as the presidential candidate. And this is why Wike and the other four governors came together and opposed what happened. However, it was the fault of all the leaders that they had that confusion, but mainly Ayu's refusal to keep to his word and to keep to the letter of the Constitution of the party. So we really shouldn't have had any problem. According to Ayu actually is on record, video, saying that, yes, indeed, if the presidential candidate emerges from the north, he will step down. It's on record. That's what he should have done. So now, if we have the same situation, we already know what should be done. But I'm hoping that instead of just word of mouth, we should have it in writing, legal, so that there'll be no discussion at all. If a candidate from the north is elected now in August this year as the national chairman, when we go to the national convention and a northerner emerges, that national chairman must step down.
Step down.
It should be in writing.
And if a candidate from the south emerges in August?
If a candidate from the north, from the south emerges as
the national chairman,
then the presidency has to come from the north.
Okay.
So that if a presidential candidate now emerges from the south, the southern national chairman must step down. That's all. It was because that was not done in the last election that we had all this confusion in the party. And I say, we just need to make this whole idea very clear, very concise before we go into elections. For instance, it is not enough to say, I will step down. You have to put it in writing. And then that's the same problem we have with, what's his name now, Anyanwu, because this whole thing was not done properly technically. That's all.
You want to explain the Anyanwu problem again?
Well, Anyanwu left his office as national secretary, went to Imo State to contest for governor. And he stayed there for months. It was almost 9 months. And he lost. And he came back. And he said he wanted to go back to his office. And the party said, no, you cannot go back to the office because you already signed a letter that you are gone. You resign. You got to resign your office before you go and contest. You can't hold two offices together. Now, he said he never signed a letter. He said he never resigned. And it is very possible that they don't really have a letter in writing. They assume that, you know, the man said, normally you know you're supposed to resign, so you resigned. Not so. This is the problem in the PDP. So if we get it clear now, let it be obvious to everybody what is going on, we shouldn't have a problem. Last election, they had confusion because they set up a 36-man committee to look at zoning. You know, I said they don't zone.
Yes.
They set up committee, the parties, they said no zoning. In other words, everybody can go and contest for president. It doesn't matter where you come from, north or south. But if you emerge and you are from the same zone as the national chairman that we've already elected, the national chairman must step down. You know, that is the agreement.
That's clear.
Isn't there a court judgment about the Samaniaun situation? Because that's what the FCT minister and others who support him are relying on. They say that the party constitution as well as the Supreme Court has given verdict that backs up Samuel Anyanwu as the national secretary.
That's a bloody lie by Wiki and Co. That's the lie. The court said the last thing we got from the court is that the issue of the national secretary is an internal affair of the party. That's it. And the party, all the organs of the party have decided that Udo Okoye is our new national secretary, but Anyanwu's term is gone. The BOT, the NEC, the National Working Committee, the People's Democratic Institute, everybody has, Governors Forum, everybody has said Udo Okoye is our new secretary, Anyanwu is gone. So if they still want to continue to pretend that there's something going on, it's just a matter of time again. By the time we get to the convention in August, everything will be clarified.
Talking of the convention,
Yes.
I would like us to come back to that convention conversation because the FCT minister had given clear indication before August. And some persons have said that it's looking like the FCT minister doesn't want the convention to hold if the issues he has brought before the party is not addressed. But I'd like us to circle back to that. But let's come back to Lagos where we are.
Okay.
For me, this would be my first question to you. Is there still a PDP structure? Because I want to show you a video and I'd like you to react to this. I can see you're laughing already if there's a PDP structure. Let's take a look at the video, by the way.
Structure in Lagos State, PDP structure in Lagos State from ward, state level, and align with His Excellency Jandon to become NR to APC.
The incumbent publicity secretary of the party of PDP, who happens to be the spokesperson of PDP in Lagos, who is authorized by law of the party and of the country Nigeria to speak for the party in the state of Lagos, has just spoken, and he has informed us that the entire structure of that party is collapsed and they have moved en masse into APC.
So, I mean, it's nice to have you here. And the video said your party has collapsed in Lagos. Is the PDP still alive? Or it's dead?
I am here, am I not?
You are. But the structures, are they with you?
Nobody has all the structure. The structure exists on its own. We have ward structure from ward chairman, youth leader, in every ward in Lagos State in place now. Every ward. Every local government is in place. We have a secretariat, state secretariat in Agege, state chairman, secretary, public secretary, that's him. Everything is in place. So the structure is in place.
Are you sure? Have you put a call through to them since yesterday to find out if they have not moved?
No,
Because
no, you see,
they might be
I
in
know.
place, so
No,
they might be
listen,
existing,
listen. I know what is going on.
Okay.
Don't forget, I'm an integral part of the party. The spokesperson for the party, Amode, who spoke now, is indeed the elected spokesperson for the party. But have you ever heard this man speak before for the party?
No, that's the first time I might
Exactly.
get to
That
see
is
on
because since he was elected as the spokesperson, as you can see, he can't even speak English properly. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This is the problem with the party. Now, what has he done? He has never represented the party. That's why you don't know him. You never heard him speak. Because as soon as Jandor got into the party, these are people we know each other personally. You know, I mean, you can imagine that I know him very well. He knows me very well. Jandor came into the party and he became Jandor's spokesperson. He abandoned the party totally. You understand me? The party structure is in place from head to toe. Philip Ivuji is the state chairman. Soji is the state secretary. We have everybody, about 30 officers in place. So if a few of them decide they're not working with the party, they're going with a particular candidate, that is what Amode did. That's why you never heard from him all this time. Those people defecting, led by Amode now, are people who went with Jandor when Jandor was campaigning for governor and separated themselves from the party structure of the party. So what you have there is not the party structure of PDP, it is the Jandor structure within PDP that is the campaign from PDP. That's exactly what is going on.
Okay. Let me just follow up on this. It's Jandor's structure, and therefore it means that the current PDP structure is still in place, regardless of what we saw. That's the fact. Footage. That's the truth I'm telling you. And by the way, that structure that is gone now is 5%, because that's the result Jandor got in the election. That's why that is why they performed so badly, because they separated themselves from the real party structure and went on their own. If you go to Chief Bode George's house now, you find a place filled with party members. They're having meetings all over the place. So why it is laughable to say Jandor, because Jandor and his people are leaving, these are the structure of the party is collapsed. Do you buy the same idea of some of your party members who view Jandor as a mole that was placed in PDP to disturb, dismantle, scatter, and ensure that the party doesn't stand right before the 2023 elections?
So he came to the party. He succeeded to some extent. That is the extent to which he succeeded. That's what you see there now. He brought people in from Lagos, for Lagos, his group of people. Unfortunately, the party leaders from Abuja made the mistake of thinking Jandor was sincere, and they allowed him to control the delegate list. So he got the list of delegates, and he used the list to elect himself and the people he wanted. At the end of it, he got 5% in the election, and dragged Atiku down to get 6%, because he was supposed to be the head of the ticket in Lagos to campaign for both the president and everybody else. And he failed and the reason he failed is exactly what you are seeing now. Abandoning, separating himself from the real structure of the party and going on his own. That his own is what you see now, saying they are going to APC. He's going back to where he came from.
All right, let's move away from Jandor for a bit, since as you've talked about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. One of his strongest allies, or one of his great allies, is Otuba Segun Showunmi, who recently was seen with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They had a meeting, he's been talking about it. And recently, in an interview, he talked about the possibility, he said it's very possible, with the way things are going, that it's very possible that he can leave the PDP. He's not saying that he's leaving, for sure, but he's not pleased with how things are being done. That he had hoped, the reason he had stayed this long was that he had hoped for maybe some form of better leadership. I mean, I'm not using his words verbatim, but he had hoped that things would be different in the PDP and that there's the likelihood that it's a possibility that he might leave.
If my friend Shomi leaves the party, it will be in line with what is going on in the party now, in the nation generally, right? Governor of Delta State, it's not mass.
Okay.
Maybe key defections.
Okay, key defections.
Well, yes, some key defections, and I tell you, if you look at it closely, we are not perturbed because look at the reasons they leave. Look at where they're going. I mean, what would be your reason?
To align with the center.
Exactly. For what reason? Because the center is performing. The center is taking care of the economy. This administration is taking care of our security. This administration is performing well.
Okay, we'll come back to the reasons why they're leaving.
So, if Shomi wants to leave, let me tell you, I can take one by one. Everybody has a reason for leaving, and they cannot hide it. In the case of Shomi, he has a problem because he said a few months ago he wanted to be national chairman of the party. He was campaigning for that. The way things have been going now, it's as if it's been edged out totally. The chances are very slim. I think he's seen that now, that there's no future for him in his ambition within the party, so he's looking for another adventure.
So you don't think it's because he genuinely believes that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has some policies that are...
Well, if he believes that, he's one of the very few people who believes that. If he believes that day and night are the same, what will attract a person to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration? That the fact that he destroyed the economy of this country, the fact that there's so much hardship, the fact that the insecurity is growing every day, the fact that he is declaring state of emergency in Rivers State and Borno and Katsina and everywhere else is burning, and bandits are taking tax from people in Sokoto and Zamfara, and he's not doing anything about it, and Benue and Plateau, people are being killed every day, and he cannot declare state of emergency. This is anybody who's attracted to this administration, I wish them good luck. And by the grace of God, they will pay for their misadventure.
Okay.
So anybody who is supporting this administration is an enemy of the people, because the administration itself, its performance, has turned himself against the people entirely.
So if Otunba Segun Shomi has declared the possibility of leaving the PDP, even though he has not categorically said that he will leave the PDP, shouldn't this be an avenue for the PDP to call him into a conversation? Because part of the criticism that has been leveled against the party is that because they have just let a number of their key figures move to the other parties without trying to have a conversation with them, to let them see ways in which they can work together for the advancement of the party, as opposed to losing them completely to the opposition.
Well, again, you take them one by one. Each person has a reason. Shomi has been talking a long time now, maybe 9 months, about his ambition within the party. I am sure he has talked to a lot of people and still in conversation with a lot of people. He may still not leave, but if he does leave, I will attribute it to his failure to achieve his ambition. The governor of Akwa Ibom, looking for re-election, and he doesn't know, almost sure he's not going to get it in PDP, now decides he's going to APC. Do you think he's going to get anything in APC? Not likely. Already, the national chairman of APC has said to Okowa and Co. that they are not going to abandon their structure for you people. You see, when I say I am not, well, I don't feel perturbed by these people leaving, is when you see Okowa, he left and it appeared that, oh, our structure in Delta State is collapsed with his governor. When Okowa went to the people, they shouted him down. They told him, Okowa, we are not going with you to APC. You're on your own. So these leaders that are leaving us are living on their own. It's not like what happened even in 2015, when things were worse for the PDP. PDP cannot collapse. The roots are too deep. The way this party was formed, everywhere you go now, you hear people like Fayose saying, oh, PDP is crashed, is collapsed. That is what they wish. That is their wishful thinking, because in reality, PDP is strong. This thing in Lagos is a good example. When you see these people talking, look at them, they can't even face the camera. He's looking on the ground like this. He's ashamed of himself. He has not been in the party. He spends most of his time abroad. After the election, he disappeared. We didn't even see him. Nobody knew where he was. And he abandoned the party long time ago. Most of them there have not had anything to do with PDP since Jandor. And when Jandor was there, and they were working with Jandor, they did not really get into PDP. In fact, they alienated PDP members to the point where Jandor could not find agents on election day. There was no presence on election day for PDP because the PDP members decided they were going to abandon that election in 2023. That's what happened. That's why Jandor scored 5%, Atiku scored 6%, because the members of the party decided that they're not going to work with these people. That's what happened.
I remember sometime in 2009, the late Burugio, Kashimu, who was a member of the PDP, he was suspended in 2009 for hobnobbing with other political parties like the APC as well. But how come the PDP hasn't been able to suspend, I mean, like the FCT minister, who is clearly, like you said, is in support with the APC and saying clearly that, listen, I'm going to support the president, although he has mentioned why suspension will be very hard for him. And I think some of the PDP members have come here to also mention why it's hard to suspend him. But with a strong opposer of the PDP, who is also a member of the PDP, who is also dictating how the PDP should work, do you think the PDP stands a chance, if at all, to even go into 2027?
If Wike had his way, we will not even have a candidate at all in 2027. But he can never have his way.
But it's starting to look like that.
What?
It's starting to look like you may not have one.
How?
Because who is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is looking forward to go and form a coalition.
Is he the only person in PDP?
Okay, Peter Obi. Maybe coming
Peter Obi is not a member. Why do you have to be all these old people who were there in many years ago? Why? Look, already a person like the governor for your state, Makinde, has expressed his interest in running.
Has he outrightly expressed on his
He has said, thank you very much. He has said it. He's interested. And I know, I've talked to him, he's interested. If he runs and wins the primaries, he will be the next president of this country. I tell you, nothing Tinubu can do about it. If he's already got the ticket of APC without a convention. Very undemocratic, abuse of democracy. But that's the way they do their own politics. We will follow the law. We will go to a convention. Whoever wins at that convention becomes our nominee, and everybody will be behind that nominee.
So are you throwing your support behind the governor? Are you throwing your support behind the governor of your state?
Personally, yes. I am actually the national chairman. I'm the convener of national support group for him. All we are doing is talking to people, telling people how good he is. We can't force anybody, but when we go to the convention, if he wins the ticket, then we know we have a very strong material marketable anywhere in the world, at any level. So that's where we are. Now, Wike can say whatever he wants to say.
But he still believes in the party. I mean, in the stakeholders meeting, that the Minister of the FCT had with some members of the party, he did talk about how the party should not be allowed to die. He still believes in the People's Democratic Party, and he says that, you know, they're going to weather this storm.
The bottom line is he's not working for the parties not to die. He's saying it, actions speak louder than words. This is a man who locked us out of our office building, did not want us to have our neck meeting. In spite of him, we had it. This is a man who said the national secretary that we have expelled should be reinstated. That is what he wants. Wike is an enemy of PDP. If we have not expelled him officially, I tell you right now, Wike is not a member of PDP. He has been expelled by the court of public opinion of the PDP. He is not a member of a party because he has shown it, he has said it in so many ways. How can you, what kind of a bastard son will go and lock his father out of his building? So this is, and then he's claiming, oh, I'm the son of my father. I love my father. No, come on. He can say anything he wants to say. He says, Wike says, we should withdraw the court case we have against the president for imposing state of emergency in Rivers State. Wike said PDP governors should not support Fubara. We say, no, we support Fubara. So how can you talk about Wike and PDP? He's not a member of the party. He cannot speak for the party. He's just being mischievous. Those people he gathered together are not members of the party. All of them are former members, people who have been suspended, people who are working for APC, people who have declared their interest in not supporting PDP, and then he's saying it should be zoned to the south. He wants to cause confusion in PDP. He wants to now say, yeah, we must zone it. We are going to follow our constitution. We are going to go to the National Convention. We are going to elect a national chairman, and that will determine where the presidency will come from.
But that's in August.
It is not for him.
Yeah. That's in August.
2 months from now.
This is June. A lot can happen in 2 months. I cannot confirm, and I don't know if you can. They have started to make speculations that Chief Delo Momodu is also saying something in the line of his body is still in the PDP, but his spirit has left because he's disgruntled with the internal crisis. This was quoted by a newspaper. They referenced an interview. I haven't listened to it, so I can neither confirm nor deny this. So a lot can happen in 2 months. I'm not worried.
The rumors of Fubara as well.
Exactly, about the key members of the party and the further defections and what that might mean for the party.
My dear, nobody is a key member of any party. We've got one vote. One vote. That's all they have. We have seen what happened with Okoa. The whole former, how many years was he governor? Everything in Delta State, from state chairman to commissioner to governor to vice presidential candidate. Where is he now? He went to the people, the members of the party said, we are not with you, you are on your own. Most of the people are on their own. Some of them, the governor of Akwa Ibom, I'm not sure his wife and children would even go with him. That's how bad it is. Some of them are already saying all sorts of things about him.
We saw some of his commissioners who have withdrawn.
Oh, of course. And then I think 15 members of the National Assembly refused to go with him. These things don't, look, I'm telling you, it's not as bad as it looks. In 2015, look at what happened.
Jonathan's time as well.
Look at what they did, what happened. A whole President Obasanjo tore his party card in public. Say he's no longer a member of PDP. So what happened? The PDP collapsed? No. No. We had a strong election in 2015. We lost. But we were very strong second. In 2019, the same thing. So PDP, look, if we did not have that NEC meeting on the 27th of May, I would not tell you that PDP is not in deep trouble. and may collapse. Once we had that meeting, I now knew that nothing can stop PDP because the structures are so strong and they are in place. And they are speaking with one voice. On the issue of national secretary, everybody spoke with one voice. On the issue of Fubara, we spoke with one voice. On the issue of Wiki, we speak with one voice. So what is the problem? You know, politics is, as Plato, I think, said it, is war by other means. So people are declaring war. I had a meeting with some young men, actually the organizing secretary, the youth leader, and another leader from Limosho yesterday, and they were telling me all these problems, but they told me that they're not worried. They say because they know that this is propaganda, that because they see something that is white, and APC would turn it into black and everything will be confused, but they can see that is. But what they told me is that we need to do more to counter the social media war that is on now against us.
Against the PDP?
Yes.
Okay, I just want us to, I mean, I think we're getting to the end of the conversation. We can't speak about, just going back to Governor Eno, we can't speak about his wife or his daughter's decision. Unfortunately, his wife is deceased, so, and we hope that her soul rests in peace. But I want us to talk, you've seen Governor Umoeno, he's moving. He's asked his cabinet to move as well. We've seen Governor Umoeno.
Yes, sure.
Yes, he's moving. He's asked his commissioners to move with him as well. We've seen the Delta State past and present governor move as well. There are those who say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a master strategist and is behind the defections, and it is political that he's been able to, in some sense, woo these people over to his side of the divide, just like they suspect that he might be wooing Otumba Segun Showunmi in the nearest future, even though Segun Showunmi has not yet confirmed if any of, I mean, he has said nothing of the sort happened. Do you think that this is their own volition, or do you think that the APC or the president, as he's referred to as a master strategist, is behind some of these defections?
If he's a master strategist, I guarantee you it is the death of swimming that killed the swimmer, the death of water. What he's doing now is political suicide. Bringing everybody on board is going to be swamped very soon because you can't satisfy all these people. And there are people who are looking for this, looking for that. He cannot do it. He's already showing signs. There's conflict already because national chairman Ganduje or Gandola, you know, there are criminals in government in Nigeria now. Many people should be in jail. But anyway, the national chairman of the party said, don't think we are going to give you our structure. So there's a problem already. All these people deflecting, you know, telling his people to go with him, but most of them are not going with him. And the people, more importantly, the masses, the members of the party are saying they are not going with him. That is the most important thing. The same thing happened to Okowa. The Okowa video was very dramatic. He's going to tell his people, they're shouting him down. So, therefore, PDP is alive and well. Some leaders may go, Dele Momodu, anybody can leave.
I mean, Dele Momodu has not yet confirmed his name.
No. Anybody who wants to leave. I think I like the way Governor Seraki put it, that it's best for these people to leave now, so we know who is who. So we don't have double agents within. It's easier to destroy us from within. So when they have left, same thing with Jando and Co. These people are just political scavengers who are just hanging around PDP and they're not doing anything really. And they are claiming to be PDP. So now that they have left, it's better. So we know who is left so we can work together in unity and forge forward, get ready for 2027 to save Nigeria and Nigerians from suffering and death that has been brought about to us by this administration under Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay. I think my final question would be June 12th, tomorrow, Nigeria's democracy. If you could tell a story of Nigeria's democracy, what would that story be?
Well, unfortunately, we are seeing the dismantling, the dismemberment of democracy like we've never seen it before under this administration. You know, In 1999, we came back to democracy, and unfortunately, we started with a former military president. That was an error. Because part of the problem in PDP now is this issue of a presidential candidate thinking he owns the party, whereas the national chairman should be the leader of the party. So we've had the military interfering in so-called civilian administration. Unfortunately, some military men are even more democratic than these politicians. Because what we have seen now with Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the death of democracy in Nigeria. Intolerance, self-centeredness, everything is about one-party system. He is a man who is fighting for one-party system. He has said that this is the best party, the best structure is a one-party system. So that is an enemy of democracy. That's where we are today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I think on the final note, Funsho Dorothy, PDP, Lagos State, high hopes or fears?
Well, Dorothy has come into PDP. I was one of the people that encouraged him to come. We are having other people come into PDP. They will come and contest. If they want to contest for governor, sure. If they win the primaries, we're all behind them. But we don't bring people into PDP. That's the mistake a lot of people made with, they made it with Agbarho, they made it with Jando. I don't do that. And I told them during that period, it's wrong. You don't bring the people in, let them come and contest. And Duarte has done something now that is so good. You know, he came into the party almost a year now. So that he's giving himself time to know the structure of the party, to understand how things work, for people to know him, members of the party. Then they decide when they have the Congress to support him. Not come 6 months before with very funny, questionable credentials, as we've seen in the past, you know. So I think that we have a very good material for governor in that particular individual, Funsho Duarte.
Very interesting and insightful conversation we've had with you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. You know, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's now move to Plateau State, where youths in Plateau State have urged the federal government and relevant authorities to wade into the resurgence and unending killings in some parts of the state. Addressing newsmen at a press briefing in Jos, the state capital, the Plateau Youth Council in Riom local government area said enough is enough. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe tells us more.
The Plateau Youth Council in Riom local government area says the resurgence of these killings within the council, which they say are unprovoked, now leave the locals in fear and untold suffering.
The marauding activities of these armed militias have continued to dispersing indigenous communities of their heritage and means of survival, and displacing several more thousands of our people into life of destitute and uncertainty. However, it should be noted that our patience, rooted in our belief in justice and rule of law, has been stretched to its absolute limit.
While commending efforts of key state actors at containing the attacks, they urge them to be more responsive.
While we acknowledge and appreciate the effort of security agencies and government at all levels, local, state, and federal, in curbing these attacks, it is imperative to state unequivocally that such effort, however commendable, cannot be seen as enough. The people of Riom have exhibited extraordinary patience. This patience, however, should not be mistaken for weakness, apathy, or an invitation for further aggression.
Meanwhile, media officer of Operation Safe Haven, Major Samson Zakom, says his men are leaving no stone unturned in ensuring the safety of both lives and property in the state.
In the last few days, some attackers have been arrested, some have been neutralized through intelligence-based operation. Our troops are not relenting in keeping both the hinterland and the metropolis safe Troops have been strategically deployed and are constantly embarking on board foot and vehicular patrols to deny this miscreant freedom of action.
With agitations in some quarters for more results from the security agencies, government at all levels are also urged to wade in to save the state from further chaos. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyui.
Very interesting, and sometimes people have called for youth to take the center stage and speak up, and that's exactly what we've seen in the Plateau. If you look at the issues,
the responsibility of a government is to provide safety and security to the citizens. If you're not doing that, I would always say you have failed the people. So we're not talking about maybe pockets. We're not saying that in the fight against insecurity there will never be any cases of insecurity, but not on such large scale. Not the one that people can't go to bed with their minds at rest, knowing that they'll wake up in their homes without having been, their buildings haven't been torched. So kudos to the youth on the Plateau, and we do want the best for them. We want to see security being a major offering that our government has to give to us. Let's now share with you what's still to come, even as we bring the news to you in a moment. We begin the news in the upper legislative chamber of the National Assembly, where lawmakers are planning to introduce a bill that will formalize the president's annual address to the nation on June 12th. According to Senate leader Okpeyemi Bamidele, the bill will also adopt the National Assembly complex as the venue for future presidential inaugurations. June 12 was designated Nigeria's Democracy Day in 2018 to honor the late Chief Moshood Abiola, who won the annulled 1993 presidential election, widely considered the freest and fairest in the nation's history. And now the federal government has commissioned the newly rehabilitated International Conference Center in Abuja. The center, which was built in 1991, has undergone a comprehensive rehabilitation to modernize its structure, enhance its safety features, and incorporate state-of-the-art conference technology. The renovated center has also been renamed the Bola Tinubu International Conference Center.
Let these people have small names in those, but let them know that it is under Bola Tinubu International Conference.
Mr. President, the renovation, the rehabilitation, and the transformation that we are witnessing in ICC is what we are bringing to this country, whether people like it or not.
The 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has raised alarm over the worsening insecurity and economic situation in Nigeria. At the launch of a new book titled Obi, the Political Change Agent in Abuja, the former Anambra State governor expressed deep concern over the condition of citizens, describing the country as a crime scene that needs urgent attention. He emphasized that while the country is not officially at war, many citizens live like refugees, both at home and abroad. And now talking about insecurity, 4 people, including 2 herders and 2 farmers, were reportedly ambushed and killed in Wakishe community of Kakek district of Basa local government area of Plateau State. 2 persons who were critically injured during the incident were rushed to Jos University Teaching Hospital, Juth, for medical attention. According to local sources, the ambush occurred while the victims were heading for mining sites. The attack on the victims has caused confusion amongst residents, given the long-standing tensions between Irigwe and Fulani in Miango district of Bassa. And that's all we have this morning on Breakfast Headlines. I am Olive Emodi. We now continue with the show. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's take a look at the front pages of the papers, and that's exactly what we're going to next. We do have our guest who's joining us here today. His name is Mr. Sheson Okwade. It's been a long time since we saw.
A very long time for a long thing, and this morning I'm bringing rain, which is also
And I asked him, I said, it seems like you went to align with the center.
You see, when there is alignment, you must see how you follow the trend.
So have you decamped to the APC as well? Because everybody and their daddies are decamping to APC.
Well, we don't need to decamp. We stay where we are and give our objective view. If they feel that they need our attention, they will call us. We don't need to be political. Let's just be professional.
So if they need your attention and they call you, you will go.
Is it not to serve your father's land?
Hey.
How only can you talk like this now? Is it a crime to serve your father's land?
That would not be called a decamp.
It's not a decamp now.
After all, the former national anthem said to serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
That's just it. Serving my father's land shouldn't be a crime.
Okay.
I should just give my best as a professional and we move.
Okay, let's go into the papers. Daily Trust newspaper, the big story there, June 12. Protest against hardship, insecurity to hold in 20 states, according to organizers. 96 houses burnt down in Plateau community. ICC commissioned, renamed after Tinubu. Again, truck drivers killed in Imo. We'll come to find out the details of that. Why INEC is yet to conduct by-elections into 7 seats at National Assembly. Northeast to experience 4-day blackout. Gunmen kill 4 in fresh attack in Benue. Let's talk about the protests that are happening. They've said that it will happen in 20 states, according to the organizers. They are protesting against hardship and insecurity.
Thank you very much. If you see what the Constitution speaks about, there is this freedom of gathering, freedom of association, freedom of speech, as we may have it. So people have the right to actually look for one way or the other to express their dissatisfaction about what the current administration is all about. And the 2 key things they are addressed is what the government is expected of as entrenched in the Constitution. I think subsection 14, subsection 2 speaks to government being responsible for the welfare of the citizen and also the security of lives and property. And this is actually fundamental. I was, while you're reading that Daily Trust, I don't know the paper that Joe would definitely read. Out of the 7 headlines you read, 3 speaks to deaths. 96 houses burnt in Plateau, 4 killed in a particular place. And you ask yourself, at what point are we going to nip this issue of insecurity on the board and be able to have safer area? Because one thing we keep saying is that a secured environment is a prosperous environment. Yeah. So areas where they are burning houses, where they are killing people, I'm sure people there will not be sleeping with their 2 eyes. Yeah. When you don't sleep with your 2 eyes, it's impacting on your health. Because with time, you just get deteriorated and you'll not be able to give the best that is expected of you productive-wise. So, and you can see that day by day, it keeps expanding. When you move from the east to the south, to the west, to the north, as we speak, nowhere is safe, except you're able, even people that feel that they can protect themselves, people go all around. And it boils down to what I would say, hunger. A lot of people are actually venturing into what they should not venture into because they just need to make ends meet. You see, let's leave the area of terrorists and the other people. When you drive your car, as we speak, you see people on the street attacking you to dispossess you of your belonging. That on its own is insecurity. Because I remember those days when you grew up, while we were growing up, you can move at any time of the day in this our state? Is it the same as we speak? There are certain areas they will always call flash areas where you can't move once it's 8 o'clock. But those days, you even see people in when you go to Lagos Island, go to certain area at 1 a.m. It's like daytime, where people are buying food, people are just cooking and they are moving. But it's not like that even in our state. When you travel, those days, I keep saying it with all boldness, to travel at night. I will leave Lagos as late as 8 p.m. and I'll be heading to Akure, I'll be heading to Ekiti. Because you feel so cool, everywhere is peaceful, but you can't even try during the day so that you will not be attacked. So I feel the justification for them to express their mind is there, but I have a concern. What is the position of the security agency to protect so that it will not be hijacked? Most of the problem, it is the people that will organize this, they will have good intention. Some people are planning behind the scene to see how they will dislodge people.
Who are the people that are planning behind the scene to hijack it?
You and I, you know that.
I don't know.
Some people will take advantage of this genuine protest, of expressing their mind and even dealing with the people that are actually being punished too. It's like you are receiving double punishment.
So are you saying that they are paid to do that? These people that would.
Well, some are paid, some are doing it on their own volume, just to make sure that, okay, you feel that you are out to come and do this. It's because you are okay. That's why you are coming out to protest. Let's come and take from what you even have and just take our own fair share of it, because everybody have different mindset to this thing. So that's why I'm of the opinion that those that are actually organizing this, they should seek police protection and be able to say, this is our intention. If you see anyone who is actually capitalizing to dislodge, I will tell people that the intention of October 20 that happened then was NSAS protest, was in fair deal. See how it was at the beginning. And all of a sudden, what we could hear is that people burning things, people dislodging people of their property and the like. It's what government needs to hear, but they need the protection of the security agency so that it will not be hijacked. I keep telling everybody, if you are protesting, every other people should have that leeway to carry on their own business too, even when they are not joining you. Not that somebody will be feeling that, do you think you are safe? That's why you can own your... Because people live on daily income. If you are protesting, some will be there to come and sell their own goodies. So that when you need water, they must make money.
But the protesters sometimes offer water. It's planned.
Where would they get it from now? Is it not from the same set of people? So we should balance the act. That's what I'm saying.
So do you support the protest? Would you on rights?
It's freedom. It's the right of everyone to express their displeasure if they are not finding things right. The question is, will you join them? Well, I don't know where I will be tomorrow.
Okay. And then also law enforcement. We're expecting that law enforcement should be able to be on ground to protect them.
Yeah, well, I believe they will have an handshake with them to make sure that, so that they can have... There is no crime in them expressing themselves on things that are not.
Okay, anyway, we're seeing here... Okay, Joe, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
We can come back to Daily Trust. Let's try and see if we can touch our papers.
Okay, so let's check another paper very quickly. The Daily Times has a very strong header, of which I stumbled on yesterday as well, especially now that we're counting down to, looking at the time, roughly 15 hours to Democracy Day. Fubara can't be forgiven. APC not dumping ground. Okocha has spoken. This is in line with the rumors. We also spoke with a PDP chieftain who just left here now about those who are decamping and moving to the APC. He made very salient and very deep-seated points on certain things to look out for. He also mentioned that there's going to be an implosion. But then again, we're starting to see something here, which we can link to what he had said. Fubara can't be forgiven. Let's talk about this. What do you make of an elected governor of a state who was elected by the people, yet he was suspended by the presidency, and the presidency is rolling out measures to celebrate Democracy Day, and some people feel it is undemocratic to have suspended a governor of a state for that long? I mean, what's your take with all of this?
Yeah, you know, I've said this times with that number, that the initial position of Mr. President, as he got his backing from the Constitution, I think we are taking it too far. Because the people, the same way Mr. President was elected and the other serving politician, is the same way this governor was actually appointed. I was thinking that the state of emergency would definitely not exceed just 1 month for them to have a ground where everybody will be able to, a level playing ground where everybody will be able to come back to a round table, have a grand discussion as politician that it is. But I think we are taking it beyond what few of us or a lot of people think, and there are more to it. I told someone while I was coming down this morning that I think one of the democracy gifts Mr. President may be giving to us, even though he hardly prepares some of this thing when he wants to give people. He likes surprises. The same way he gave us subsidy is God. It might be one of the surprises to make a declaration in his speech to reinstate Fubara tomorrow. For having to come to say, look at this, because I feel that the people of that state is actually being cheated in the sense that they are riding on their rights. They elected this man, and they are the only one. It's just that when you want to move any member of the National Assembly out, you have to conduct a referendum, put people together, and put that vote of no confidence and say you are pulling them out. The initial talk was insecurity in the state because there were grievances between the State House of Assembly and the governor, which you tried to mediate. But I think within 1 month, if we actually have good intention and good purpose for the people, this should have been settled. But it's going beyond what an average citizen can actually look like. And people coming to say it cannot be forgiven. Today, we have seen a lot of realignment. People that attacked the current president, even on air, openly, coming to say it's the best that we can talk of today. So as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing like nobody can be forgiven. I'm sure they will get to a position, but I feel Mr. President owed the nation and the people of Rivers State that particular gifts to give back to them by reinstating. By now, with the peace accord, you have gone far in, settling the two sides in such a way to give the people of the state what they voted. They voted, whether it's by any means you want to talk about it, INEC declared him as the governor of the state. And it is not by fiat, it's by the reading of the result of the people of Rivers State. So I feel that Mr. President should surprise the people by actually reinstating this man and having a democratic governor for that state carrying on the operation as against the administrator that we are there currently.
There's another big story there on the front page of the Daily Times, and I think we need to look at this. Nigeria needs political, not violent revolution, according to Amadi, as a regular guest here as well on Breakfast Central and News Central. Wike renames ICC after Tinubu. This has generated so much reaction. I'd like you to react to that, but not until you react to this one first. While we see in the picture there, the FCT minister, the grand launch of the ICC, which was renamed. Under that picture, Boko Haram seizes American missionary in Borno. We're starting to see insecurity rear its ugly head once again in every part. So you could take one. The ICC being renamed, and then, of course, the insecurity in the north.
Yeah, you see, this particular act, I'm not in support of it by naming Mr. President, who is serving president, a serving person, you are given the name. What we grew up to know is that after good delivery of either a president, a governor, certain areas are named after them, not when you are serving. I think I saw one of it in our state here in Lagos, and not too long I saw that it was actually changed. One was named after a particular structure, was named after the current governor, and we even saw that they've inscribed it there. But we got there not too long after that, that it was actually removed. I think it's unethical, if you ask me, to actually be naming a serving person. So if tomorrow People are languishing in abject poverty. We are talking about a multidimensional thing. Hardship is in the ground. And all we could do is after. So all you have done is that, Mr. President, for giving me the leeway to actually do this, have this while you are still serving. I feel it is not right. And I don't know Mr. President's position. He has gone to commission it. But I feel if you look at all the areas where you see people being named after, even where you see the current president having his name as a street in Lagos, was after he has served meritoriously the state, that they feel that let's use this to honor it. I feel that it's unethical. It doesn't sound nice. If you ask me, it's my personal view. I feel that should have been possibly after the expiration of Mr. President. You can still call it ICC. And when he has actually, finished his term in office, use that to honor him, if indeed he deserves, not coming to actually give that while he's still in office. I would say professionally it's unethical by my own view.
Okay, let's go to the third paper, and then we can revisit the first to take some other stories. But just to mention to our audience, if you'd like to call in and share your thoughts on any of the stories, the number to call is on your TV screen. We want to get your thoughts and hear from you as well. Let's go to Nigerian News Direct. On the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, protesters set to storm Abuja, Lagos, Delta, others seek police protection for demonstrators. We also have here, Rivers APC rejects Fubara's alleged defection plan, warns sins won't be forgiven. Federal government unveils $50 million investment fund to accelerate economic transformation. Don't pay attention to busybody and bystanders. Continue your good work. Tinubu tells Wike, again, still on the Nigerian News Direct. It says, Nigerian News Direct, don't pay attention to busybody and bystanders. Continue your good work. Of course, I want you to react to that. But at the top, we have a columnist, 6 years of enduring impact and the journey to the future by Babajide Sanwo-Olu. World Bank predicts sluggish growth for global economy. If global economy is experiencing sluggish growth, what will now happen to our own economy?
Snail growth.
Ayeleo, Ibosio.
It's not between sluggish. Sluggish is, you know, when you do something sluggishly.
You are moving,
but
you can be staggering.
But snail, before the sun shines, one step, you wait again for 15 hours, another step.
Dangote set to shake up downstream sector, list refinery on capital market. And that's all here. But let's get, this bromance between the FCT minister and the president. He said don't pay attention to busybody and bystanders. I don't know if we have the clip where the president's sort of giving a nod of
moving, but
you can be staggering.
But snail, before the sun shines, one step, you wait again for 15 hours, another step.
Dangote set to shake up downstream sector, list refinery on capital market. And that's all here. But let's get, this bromance between the FCT minister and the president. He said don't pay attention to busybody and bystanders. I don't know if we have the clip where the president's sort of giving a nod of approval to the FCT minister. Remember that the conversation about the 34 embassies being potentially shut due to failure of ground rent came up yesterday. And people were asking, why is the FCT minister threatening to shut down these embassies? They ought to have shut them down since, but after the public outcry, the president intervened and gave them a 14-day notice. So this is over 3 billion naira that is being owed in terms of ground rent. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said he should not mind stayers. In fact, he said, if you want to use the land, you have to pay the landlord. I don't know if we have that clip. It would be great if we had the clip for us to play. Let's take a look at the clip.
Okay.
I say once again to all of you, Baraka de Salah. And you must obey what the landlord says. You want to use this place? You got to pay for it.
Well, it's obvious. Remember that, that just yesterday, the FCT minister also gave a speech after the president had spoken. And he said that that statement the president made He was also talking about the ICC, the center, that if you need to use it, you have to pay something.
And then the band gave us back up with "Iye never." I missed that.
I wish we had this dance step. I don't know if we had that
No,
video.
recently, I think he has not been dancing the way he do.
He danced yesterday.
No,
yesterday was like,
I didn't watch that.
Yesterday was like, yeah, finally we've commissioned, and then he did his normal moves that we know him to do. Exactly, those free moves, you know.
Maybe I will say this, Joe, and I must give it to Wike. I go to Abuja regularly, and not just with this administration, but if you compare they call him Mr. Project in Abuja, see most of their metro buses, you will see that at the back, Mr. Project. It's not just giving him that fame. There has been tremendous project, infrastructure development, linking the hinterlands, the main city and those areas. You can have good road network. What the master plan seems to look like, Wike seems to be bringing it out. I must give it to him. These days in Abuja, it takes you shorter time to move to several areas. So we must applaud when somebody is doing certain things right. And when certain people came to criticize him on this issue of Grand Land, I said, well, I don't see anything wrong in you fulfilling your obligation. As far as this organization is concerned, there are statutory fees expected of you to pay to federal government, to pay to the states, and you will have your demand notice, and you decide to turn different eyes against it. It doesn't work. Every organization must stand up to the... It's not only... And what Wike is saying now, from what you said, that anybody that must use this place must pay. So you won't come to say it's a government agency. You know now, paddy. No, it's not only private people that will be paying. That's what he's saying. As government agency, you want to do something there for the government,
pay something.
You must pay. And that's the truth. If they don't pay, how do they maintain the facility when everybody is using it for free? So this is what we call public-private partnership. It is not only when you have the contribution of the private sector into the building of the infrastructure that you do that. No, let's have that orientation of saying that every of the government facility, because most of the time, among their budget, they will budget for that particular hall to be paid for. And some people will divert it and say it's government, it's paddy, let's get some of this. So for me, I think Wike is doing his best in Abuja. I can see it. I'm not being told. I go to Abuja frequently. I am not being told that we can see the development there. And I feel if anybody needs to make use of the service, maybe the area we want to speak to is, are those things really affordable? I hope with this new launch on, we will not be moving to, maybe if the facility used to be like 2 million, then you'll now be talking of 20 million and say, can't you see the state-of-the-art infrastructure to actually make this? We should make it, there's one thing for something to be available and also affordable for the people to make use of some of those facilities. But I feel that the president has spoken. If you must actually make use of any, you must respect your landlord and pay your fee. Otherwise, he will reject you out, or you will decide, even when you are forcefully gain entrance into that particular place, you can decide to off the generator and the ceremony will not hold there.
Okay. Let's go back to the Daily Trust newspaper. There's a story I want us to take back on the front page of the Daily Trust, top left corner. Why INEC is here to conduct by-elections into 7 states at the National Assembly. Now, there are several vacancies, about 7 of them, and I think there's 5, and then there's 2. Yes, a breakdown showed that there are 2 vacancies at the Senate and 5 at the House of Rep. Also, while 5 vacancies have been created, sequel to the death of 5 lawmakers in both chambers, 2 vacancies are occasioned by electoral victories of 2 lawmakers. Of course, the likes of Senator Monday Okpewulu, who's now governor. So there are seats that are vacant. But INEC is saying that the funds are not available, that they've not made funds available. They are laughing. They said that when they make the funds available to them, they will do it. Let's get your thoughts on that.
It's disappointing because the people representing, that means those 7 areas is actually...
They are lacking representation.
They are lacking representation, whichever way you want to put it. But I know certain people will come out to say, even those that are being represented, what impact are they feeling?
But at least let them have
But at
representation.
least
Is
let's
their
have
rights.
representation is their right.
Yeah.
And INEC coming to say they don't have funds to actually carry out election. I want to believe that while they are actually making budgets for some of these things, there are room for by-elections that are supposed to actually be carried out. I think the INEC should stand up to the responsibility, do whatever they feel that they can do. This is short-changing certain constituency, not having a say in what they are doing. I don't know, by the time they want to share allocation to every constituency, who takes responsibility for these 7 set of people that are actually not being represented on the seat? Are you going to give it to the governor of the state to actually go and take the duty of either a senator or a member of the House of Representatives? I think the people in that particular state too should cry. I think, pardon me.
They are started crying out, so the number of them are started crying out, asking for
their
representation.
voice is not being heard in the public. This is what should be trending. You cannot be abandoned and you feel that you just keep quiet, let's just say it one and go to bed to rest. As far as I'm concerned, if not that you are reading it, most people don't even know that that.
Let me give you an example. Constituents are saying we feel forgotten and neglected. We see residents of Chikun Kajuru Federal Constituency in Kaduna State who have expressed frustration over the delay in filling the vacuum created by the demise of Ekene Adams, saying that they have been shut out of legislative representation at the federal level for a whole year.
Who are they addressing that thing to? Are they seeking the attention of Mr. President on this particular thing? Because it's actually the one that will prevail. If INEC is complaining that fund is not being disbursed, it's on the table of Mr. President, because if you ask the Treasury head, who is the CBN man to disburse fund, he will tell you that he has no paper on his table for him to approve. I'm sure we all know how it works. So it's when somebody approves. So who are they crying to? They should table their case before the president. And what is the position of the governors of those particular states? Are they not feeling that particular cheat to say, okay, we have other states, 3 representatives. It's just 1 or 2 that we have that are there. If there is going to be a particular thing that they want to pass to the National Assembly, that means they will be shortchanged one way or the other. The governor too needs to stay their own because the president will have the ears of the governor, and the people should cry to the governor.
Let's
for them to
take a call from Mohammed calling from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Mohammed. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Alhaji Hassan Mohammed in Dabaki. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Thank you for calling.
Well, I think celebrating June 12th as a democratic day commemoration of our democracy day is a good one. And I think I want to urge the president and his team to concentrate in governance, not politicking. You know, when you see somebody campaigning 2 years before his election, then you should ask yourself a question. What have they been doing that they are not getting right, that they are already seeing a red flag across board? And then why do they intend to run a one-party system in a secular nation where we have all ethnic tribes and political parties, where the checks and balance have now been completely, oppressed by the government in power? If you are opposing them, the next thing, your name will be shortlisted for investigation. And the moment you return to status quo, your sins have been forgiven. What message are we sending as a people? Now look at a situation whereby an elected executive decides to suspend an elected executive in the state, which is completely alien to our constitution. And up to this moment, even the so-called lawyers that are within the circle of the presidency have not been able to come out and tell him that you err, you goof politically because this is not part of our constitutional provision. Let us recall back the governor of Rivers State and allow the people to enjoy the benefits of democracy. But unfortunately, people are using it. You can imagine somebody coming to say the APC is not a dumping ground where the governor of Rivers State that is suspended will be allowed to come in. Are we saying that if you're not in the other side of the divide, you will not be allowed to carry out leadership and dividend of democracy to the people? Because what we are seeing now is not a good thing. So I think I'll urge the president to realign himself with reality, because his major crisis and problems started the day he never opened the door of governance and say he has removed fuel subsidy without even checking the immediate and long-term consequences of his statement. And today, We are all going through the same hell. Some families have not been able to pay 2 years' school fees for their children, and up to this moment, some state and local government have not been paying the so-called minimum wage. And nobody is coming down to speak, even including the FCT. So I think we will ask the president to go back to status quo. Forget about politics. Go into governance. People are dying in Benue State. Incidentally, I was born in Benue State. I know what the crisis is all about. It has to do with the political elite and the political class. The fight for control of who is in charge and who is not in charge. We could remember the case of Late Ghana, one of the militial man that was killed. It was between Suswan and then Otom. Now it has now become the case between the godson of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and the pastor, Reverend Alia. What are we telling ourselves? We want crisis to erode our leadership and governance at the expense of human life. So I think the president should do something for us as the people. Because the blood money contractors in the defense that are benefiting from the insecurity will never allow people to have peace in this country until we checkmate all those things. People pretend to be NGOs, making supply, making businesses at the expense of human life. The moment peace comes, they will create insecurity to continue with their business. So I think this is not good for us as a people. Thank you, and may God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, he's spoken so much. A lot has been said, and I don't know if you want to ride on what he said. I mean, he's lived in Benue, now he's in Port Harcourt.
Yeah, I will only buttress this point by saying that most of this insecurity, it is not those that you see at the war front that are actually carrying out those things. My people in my language, we say those that are beating the drum are just behind them. You are not seeing the face. Let's unmask those certain set of people that are actually creating this unrest.
Do you agree with the governor of Benue State, Honorable Alia, who said the insecurity is coming from the National Assembly, that you understand from the governments? They know what is happening in Benue State.
It's not only from him. A lot of people that are actually have always been saying it. Remember during Jonathan, they said there are people within the government that is actually creating the unrest. But my challenge all the time is, are these people that powerful that you can't unravel them and name them? In this country, we don't know how to name people. Remember when we had issue of Dubai, UAE, telling us that sponsors of up till today,
we've done the work for you.
We've done take, and they give you the answer script. Now to read out those names, your glasses suddenly got missing. You cannot see the names up till today. So we don't like naming, because I want to believe that the people that are actually behind the scene, if you start calling those names, it's like a spiral effect. It will definitely get to people that you'll be saying, so you two, you are there. You two, you are there. So, because if you are pointing fingers, don't just do that. Be able to name names and say, this particular person, let the person come to defend, and let's see the best that we can do. Everybody will definitely come out to see. But what we keep saying is that some people are actually engineering insecurity. Some people are fueling crisis in their state. Who are the people? Some people are mismanaging our funds. Who are the people? Be able to name them so that we can take it up from there. Everybody can now see independently whether you are given the name. Because one thing I love about naming people, when you give a name, that person too will give a name. And we start seeing events unfolding.
But there will be a ripple. There will be a ripple effect.
Let the ripple effect, because the masses are not enjoying anything.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Let's see the ripple effect. When you fight and you fight, everybody now look for a way to say, okay, you've called my name, Abi, and I warned you not to mention my name. I will tell my own side of the story. And when they say it, you see, when these two people are not actually in consonant with one another and they start unveiling, certain truth will come out that the citizen can hold on to and use it, maybe during election or anything that we actually want to say. But I feel that it's high time we start calling names. Enough of this person. You'll be pointing finger to who? And let me tell anybody pointing finger, when you point one at that particular person, the remaining four is coming to you. All we are saying, if you cannot mention names, is that you are the one responsible for that thing. Because the greater percentage of the finger you are pointing is coming to you. But give that one name, and we'll be able to know that.
I can point without the remaining four coming back.
Coming back to you, because I actually mentioned that. So you don't have to.
Okay, that's on a much lighter note.
No, you do it too, and I'm pointing it too.
At the end, the bomb.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Just to remind you as we wrap up this, breakfast show this day, let's tell you that it's special tomorrow. You should not miss it. It's going to air 8:30 tomorrow, just in case you're wondering what we're talking about. It's by investigative reporter Marshal Onoye. But take a look at the video.
Justice. All I wanted is justice. I was one that was wronged. I was raped twice. I could not speak out. And the time I spoke out, no one gave me the justice I deserved. They didn't give my mother the justice she deserved. Instead, they locked up for trying to get justice for her family.
DPO say he go show me, he go show my daughter. Immediately, the woman set eyes on us. He said they should take us to Kirikiri. That day, they took us to Kirikiri. We spent another 6 days in Kirikiri with hell, with beating, with torture.
Perverted justice for victory. You could find this story and everything 8:30 tomorrow. And tomorrow we also have a special here on Breakfast. We'll be looking at June 12th, Democracy Day. Don't miss it for a thing. It's going to be 3 hours of full conversation around what democracy looks like in the past 26 years. I guess that does it for the show, right?
That does it. Happy Democracy Day in advance, by the way.
Yeah, same to you. I hope that the people will be able to celebrate better the dividend of democracy. We are always hearing dividend of democracy. When are we going to enjoy and benefit? A lot of people sacrifice their life for this, and I think it will be worthy to actually see people have the gain of what democracy should be.
Just like our former anthem said, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. This is where we draw the curtain on today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back again tomorrow for 3 hours of our Democracy Day special. Please don't miss that. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Joe Hansen, thanking you for watching. And make sure you stay with us. Jasiri is up next. And after that, you have Business Edge and more programming. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.